You open a closet, a pantry, or a drawer that looks perfectly organized from the outside, and somehow your shoulders still tighten. There are labels, there are bins, there are categories inside categories. Nothing is exactly messy, but it still asks something from you every time you look at it. For many women over 40, the home does not only become exhausting when it is cluttered. Some organized habits that exhaust women over 40 can look productive, responsible, and even beautiful, while quietly adding more decisions to your day. This video is not about giving up on order. It is about noticing when organizing stops helping you and starts managing you. Because a good system is not the one that looks impressive when someone opens the cabinet. A good system is the one that lets your mind rest a little more. Today, we are going through 7 organized habits that may be secretly draining your energy and how to make each one easier, calmer, and more realistic for the life you actually live. The first habit is over-categorizing everything. At first, categories feel helpful. They give you a sense of control. They make a drawer look cleaner. They help you believe you have finally solved the problem. There is a bin for workout clothes, a bin for lounge clothes, a bin for seasonal pieces, a bin for maybe later, and another one for clothes that are technically still wearable but never feel right. The same thing can happen in the pantry. One container for breakfast items, another for snacks, another for refills, another for things that do not belong anywhere else yet. None of these categories are wrong by themselves. The problem begins when every small decision requires too much thinking. When you are tired, you do not want to stand in front of a cabinet and ask, does this belong in the everyday bin, the refill bin, the backup bin, or the overflow bin? That sounds small, but small decisions repeated all day can become background noise in your mind. And when you are already carrying work, family needs appointments, meals, laundry messages, and your own care, a system that demands constant sorting can feel like one more job. A calmer way is to make fewer categories, not more. Instead of asking, what is the perfect name for this, ask, where would I look for this when I am tired? That question changes the system. You may only need 3 categories instead of 9. Everyday, backup, let go, or keep. Use soon, decide later. The goal is not to create a museum of your home. The goal is to reduce the number of decisions your home asks you to make. If a category is so specific that no one remembers it, or you avoid using it unless you have extra energy, it is probably too precise. Let the system be a little less perfect, so your life can feel a little lighter. The second habit is buying storage before reducing decisions. There is something very satisfying about buying new bins. The clean lines, the matching lids, the promise that everything will finally have a home. For a moment, storage feels like relief. But storage does not always reduce the load. Sometimes it simply gives the load a nicer container. You can buy beautiful baskets and still have too many items asking for a decision. You can label every box and still feel tired every time you open the closet. You can hide a complicated problem behind a calmer-looking door. This is why organizing can feel productive while the deeper decision remains untouched. The question is not only, where can I put this? A more useful question is, do I still want to be responsible for this? That one is harder. It asks you to admit that a thing may be useful, but not useful to your life anymore. Maybe it was expensive. Maybe someone gave it to you. Maybe it belongs to a version of you who had more time, more space, or different priorities. Buying storage can delay that decision. The home may look better for a while, but your mind still knows the decision is waiting. Before buying another bin, reduce one layer first. Take one small area, not the whole closet. Just one shelf, one drawer, one basket, one corner. Ask, what am I willing to keep managing? Not, could this be useful someday? Almost anything could be useful someday. Ask instead, is this useful enough to keep taking space in my home and in my mind? Storage is helpful when it supports a decision you have already made. It becomes exhausting when it helps you avoid a decision you are still carrying. The third habit is labeling systems no one else follows. Labels can be helpful. A clear label can make it easier to put things back. It can make a shelf feel less chaotic. It can turn a confusing space into a simple one. But labels become exhausting when you are the only person who understands them, respects them, or maintains them. You make the system. You label the bins. You explain where things go, and then everyone else still asks where the batteries, toothpaste, lunch containers, or chargers belong. The label exists, but the responsibility still comes back to you. If the system only works when you are present, it is not really shared. It is your system with decorations. A good home system should reduce the number of questions that land on you. If people keep ignoring the labels, the answer is not always better labels. Sometimes the answer is a simpler system. Maybe cold weather is easier than thermal layers, scarves, gloves, winter accessories. Maybe school lunch is easier than separate bins for snacks, containers, napkins, and refill items. Maybe cleaning extras is enough. A label should not require training. And if the people in your home still cannot follow it, the system may need to be redesigned for real life, not for the most organized version of your imagination. Look at one labeled area that frustrates you. Ask, is this label helping the house function, or is it just giving me another thing to enforce? Sometimes the calmer answer is a larger basket, a lower shelf, fewer choices, or one obvious place for the whole category. A system that everyone can use imperfectly is often better than a beautiful system only one woman can maintain perfectly. The fourth habit is resetting the whole house every night. There is a certain kind of evening reset that feels peaceful. You wipe the counter. You put a few things back. You turn off the lights. The room feels easier to wake up to. That kind of reset can be kind. But there is another kind of reset that slowly turns your evening into a second shift. The house is quiet, and instead of resting, you begin scanning. Shoes by the door, dishes near the sink, a throw blanket on the couch, mail on the counter, laundry in the chair, someone's cup on the table, a bag that needs emptying, a reminder for tomorrow. You tell yourself, I'll just do this quickly. But quickly becomes 20 minutes, then 40. Then the last peaceful part of your day disappears into making the house look finished. The real exhaustion is not only the work, it is the belief that you are not allowed to stop until the house stops asking for things. For many women, the evening reset becomes a way to control tomorrow. If everything is done tonight, maybe the morning will feel easier. Maybe no one will need you before you have had a moment to breathe. That makes sense. It is not wrong to want relief. But a whole house reset every night may cost more energy than it gives back. A calmer approach is to choose a stopping point before you begin. Not, I will reset the house. Try, I will reset the kitchen counter and the entryway. Or I will spend 10 minutes returning only the things that would annoy me tomorrow morning. Or I will clear one surface and leave the rest. This matters because a clear stopping point gives your mind permission to close the day. A home does not need to be fully reset before you rest. It needs one or two places to stop pulling on you. Let some rooms remain lived in. Let tomorrow inherit a few ordinary things. The fifth habit is keeping just-in-case zones. Most homes have them. The box of cords, the shelf of extra containers, the drawer of spare pieces, the bin of things that might be useful someday. The closet area where decisions go when you are not ready to make them. Just in case feels responsible. It says, I am prepared. I am not wasteful. I am thinking ahead. And sometimes that is true. Some backup items are helpful. A few extras can make life easier. But when every possible future gets its own space, your present life can start to feel crowded. The hidden cost of a just-in-case zone is that you have to keep remembering it exists. You have to know what is in it. You have to move it when it gets in the way. You have to search through it when you need something. You may feel a small wave of guilt when you notice it has been sitting untouched for months. It becomes a storage space for unresolved decisions. And the hard part is that these zones often look organized. The items may be in bins, the bins may be stacked, the shelf may look tidy, but your mind still recognizes them as unfinished. A calmer question is not, could I ever need this? The answer will almost always be yes. A better question is, would I know I had this, find it easily and feel relieved to use it? If the answer is no, it may not be a useful backup. It may just be a future decision you are storing. Start with one small zone. Choose what truly earns its place. Keep the things that are easy to find, likely to be used, and genuinely helpful. Let go of the things that only stay because the thought of deciding feels tiring. Preparedness should make your life easier. It should not turn your home into a warehouse for every possible version of tomorrow. The sixth habit is making routines too detailed. Routines can be deeply supportive. They can reduce chaos. They can help your home run with less stress. They can give shape to mornings, evenings, meals, laundry, and weekly chores. But a routine can become exhausting when it has too many steps to survive real life. Maybe your morning routine has 15 tasks before breakfast. Maybe your cleaning routine assigns a different zone to every day. Maybe your evening routine includes dishes, laundry counters, prep planning, skincare reading, and a perfect quiet moment that almost never happens. On paper, it looks organized. In real life, one phone call, one tired child, one late meeting, one bad night of sleep, or one low-energy day can make the whole thing collapse. Then the routine does not feel supportive. It feels like another way to fail. A good routine should have room for being human. Your energy may not be the same every single day. Your responsibilities may shift. Your body may ask for a slower pace. Your mind may need fewer demands, not a more impressive checklist. The calmer question is, what is the smallest version that still helps? If the full evening routine has 8 steps, what are the 3 that actually make tomorrow easier? Maybe it is loading the dishwasher, choosing clothes, and writing one reminder. Simple does not mean lazy. Simple means the system respects the amount of energy you really have. A routine that only works on your best day is not a routine. It is a performance. Try building a minimum version of your routine. On a good day, you can do more. On a tired day, the minimum still keeps life moving. That is not lowering your standards. That is building a home that does not punish you for being tired. The 7th habit is organizing for appearance instead of ease. This one is subtle because it often looks beautiful. Matching containers, perfect shelves, clear counters, pretty labels, folded towels, a pantry that looks like a picture, a closet that looks calm when the door opens. There is nothing wrong with beauty. A visually calm space can feel comforting. Many women genuinely enjoy making a home feel peaceful, and that can be a form of care. But appearance becomes exhausting when the system is designed more for being seen than for being used. If the bins are too high, too tight, too specific, or too hard to return things to the system, creates friction. If the pretty container hides what is inside and you keep forgetting what you own, the system is not helping. If the shelf looks beautiful only when you are the one maintaining it, the beauty may be costing too much. Ease should come before appearance. Ask, can I use this system on a normal tired Tuesday, not on a perfect Saturday with time to spare? A normal Tuesday, a rushed morning, a low-energy evening, a day when you have already made too many decisions. That is when a system proves whether it is kind. The most supportive organizing systems are often not the most impressive. They are the ones that make the next action obvious. Open the drawer, see what you need. Drop the item into one clear place. Find the backup without searching. Put something away without thinking for more than a second. That is real ease, and that is the whole point. A good system is not the system that makes your home look like someone else's idea of calm. A good system is the one that lets you live with less mental noise. So as you look around your home this week, do not ask, does this look organized enough? Ask, does this ask too much from me? That question can guide you gently. Maybe one label can come off. Maybe 3 categories can become 1. Maybe a nightly reset can shrink. Maybe a just-in-case bin can become smaller. Maybe a routine can be allowed to have a minimum version. Maybe a beautiful shelf can become a more usable shelf. You do not have to tear apart your home to make it calmer. You only need to notice where order has turned into pressure. Because the goal is not to organize every part of your life perfectly. The goal is to create a home that supports the woman actually living in it. If one of these habits felt familiar, start with the one that makes you sigh the loudest. Not the biggest area, not the most visible area, the one that keeps asking for your attention. Make it simpler, make it easier to use, make it easier to stop. And if you want the next step, watch the next Calm Her Daily video on how to stop cleaning all day, because organizing is only one part of protecting your energy. The deeper shift is learning how to let your home support you without turning every day into maintenance. Your home does not have to be perfectly organized to feel calm. It just has to ask less from you.